Good morning, everyone. I would like to call our 2015 Winter Convention General Session to order. And if I could ask Chuck Petrucia to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Where's Old Lori?
Where's the flag? There's no flag.
We
have a mini flag?
we got a flag tie?
Or a flag on your phone? You mean to hold up a flag phone?
Yeah.
Should we grab a flag on your phone? Yep.
Yeah.
We've done that before.
I'm bringing up a flag on my phone. American flag. Is this really what we're going to do?
I guess so. I didn't realize it was here.
All right.
Can everyone see this? I'm sure.
There's an American flag on this phone.
Ready?
All right. Yeah.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, everyone. And we would like to also welcome our sponsors. Our first sponsor that we would like to bring acknowledgement to is Altronics. And I believe that we have a video that we're going to be showing for Altronics.
Just because a building has coax infrastructure doesn't mean you need to rip and replace all that legacy cable to upgrade from analog to IP. eBridge Ethernet adapters from Altronics are the most efficient way to deploy today's advanced edge devices utilizing coax. You see, eBridge lets you use existing coax cable to transmit IP data by itself or simultaneously along with PoE, PoE+, even high PoE. At data rates up to 100 megabits per second, full duplex. Let me show you. Simply remove an old analog camera and replace it with a new IP megapixel camera and an eBridge transceiver. Attach the coax cable to the transceiver. Then plug in the Ethernet cable that comes from the camera. Simple enough, right? And it's just as easy at the receiver. eBridge offers single, 4, 8, and 16 port receivers, giving you the flexibility to accommodate multiple cameras or edge devices. Attach the coax cable that runs to the IP camera. Then plug in the Ethernet cable, and voila. You've just established IP connectivity using coax. eBridge provides power over Ethernet and passes through IP video and data. eBridge also allows you to install multiple cameras and edge devices over a single coax cable. It's an extremely cost-efficient and simple way to expand your surveillance system. And eBridge can transmit data up to 500 meters without using repeaters. That's 5 times Ethernet range, indoors or out. So there's no need to rip and replace existing coax. You can get all the benefits of Ethernet infrastructure and realize tremendous savings. Make the move to a network platform with eBridge Ethernet over coax solutions. Made in the USA and backed by a lifetime warranty from the company that delivers more than just power, Altronics.
Thank you very much, Altronics, for being one of our gold sponsors. Very much appreciate it. Well, who's ready for a wonderful, fun, exciting day full of great content? Woo! All right. Very excited to be here. As we know, this is the beginning of, and I'm so sorry if I am squinting a bit. Those lights are just unbelievable up here. Makes me realize what it must be like to be in Hollywood, so please excuse me if I'm squinting while I'm here. So very excited. This is the first day that we're really going to start seeing the transformational leadership direction that the CAA is taking. Very excited from yesterday as we started the sessions to all those that participated in the sessions, that led the sessions, that were on the panels. I did have an opportunity to look at the surveys. It appeared that all of you were very satisfied with them. So thank you very much for that. That was our starting point to whet your appetite, to show you the content and where we are looking to go. This commercial and the contributions of our sponsors, we very much want to be more visible as well and appreciate you too. So I think you're going to see that theme throughout the day, and hopefully it'll be a very exciting day for everyone. I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. And I know that there are many people to stand up and do introductions. We actually have record-breaking attendance this year of over 420 people. We have over 80 dealer companies that have been here and over 200 people from those dealer companies. So thank you very much for being here. We very much appreciate it. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Thank you very much to our exhibitors. And we look forward to a great show with you. In regards to additional people that are here, we're very much trying to be an inclusive organization, as you know. I'd like to bring attention to some of those affiliates that are with us today. We have CAFA, SIA, ISC, ESX, SEAC, ESA, CSAA, and Net1, and that's just the beginning of how we're looking to expand and ensure that we are inclusive beyond just the CAA and a pathway for many of other organizations to participate with us. So thank you very much for them to be here. In regards to the introductions, I'd actually like to go down the table, and if we can start with the head table and do introductions, and John, if you can do an introduction of your position with CAA in your company, and we'll go forward from there.
John Sargent with Tyco Integrated Security, large company representative and past president.
Bob Michael, Valley Alarm in Los Angeles, and past president of CAA.
Les Gold, Council, Mitchell, Silverberg, and NUP.
Rich Whitlock, Safe Site Security, President of the Sacramento Area Alarm Association, Secretary for the California Alarm Association.
Dave Michael from Valley Alarm in Los Angeles, Treasurer.
Chuck Petrucia from Advanced Security Systems, and I'm the Northern California CAA Vice President.
I'm Tim Westphal with Bay Alarm Company, and I'm the Southern California CAA Vice President.
Thank you very much. If I could ask now for the regional chapter presidents and committee chairs and those that sit on our board of directors to please stand and also do introductions. So if you can all stand, and then we'll just start. Dave, maybe we can start from the back. Wonderful, thank you. And I'm sorry, I can't see everyone with the lights, so if you can just continue to go. Perfect. Thank you very much for those introductions. For all of those that you have served on the CAA, any of the chapters, or have served in any capacity on a board or in a volunteer position for a security organization, if I could ask you to stand, please. Thank you very much for our board, our executive board, those that are volunteering, and all of those of you that are standing. A round of applause. Thank you very much for all that you are giving. My name is Kathy Rempel. As many of you probably are aware, I'm the president of the California Alarm Association, and my company is American Security Integrators out of San Diego. I would now like to, instead of having everybody stand and do their own introduction, if you could introduce yourself to a couple people around your table or at the next table, and we'll do the church thing. So as I mentioned, we are going to be in for an exciting day. The agenda, for those of you that may not know, is in your main program that you received, the glossy folder that has the picture of San Francisco on the front. And our recipient tonight of the Weinstock Award, Matt Westphal, you'll probably see his picture if you can find Waldo in there. It's kind of a fun thing we put together for him. I would invite you, I would encourage you to please participate in all the sessions throughout the day. This is a different day for us because we're going right to the end of the day. I will share with you, we have a very exciting keynote who I will be doing the introduction to soon, but this individual works on transformational leadership, which is our theme at the California Alarm Association, and will be workshopping with us as well. So very excited about that. Following his presentation, we'll be moving into lunch. Then we will have George DeMarco's Executive Symposium, where we will be talking about leadership under fire. And then I invite you to stay because we are going to be sharing the exciting directions that we are taking the California Alarm Association in 2016. And we will finalize the day with an incredibly important session to all of us and all our companies on cybersecurity and security in our companies and security of information. So I invite you to stay for the entire day. I think it'll be content that'll be well worth your time and relevant. With that, I'd like to ask Les Gold to move into the antitrust, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We had our introductions a few moments ago, and Kathy was talking about the vision of the California Alarm Association. I was in the airplane. I was reading some of the notes that John Sargent distributes. John, in addition to everything else, is kind of the historian. And I was looking at a strategic plan that this association did in 1992. That's, what, about 23 years ago. And if I can just read for a moment. Strategic planning is the process of building a vision and assembling the means to carry it out. Strategic planning involves an attempt to impose a measure of rationality and order to a world that is constantly changing, sounds familiar, and that sometimes appears chaotic. Patience and persistence are needed for a planning process to work. The leaders of the California Alarm Association have an obligation to all California Alarm Association members to maximize the resources and time available to them in accomplishing the strategic plan. This was put together by, I believe, Steve Stofkin, who is here, who was the chairman, John, Frank Burke, and Frank Miners. In any event, we are in a constantly changing world. This association should be very, very proud of the leadership role it's taken over the years and seeing to it that the association and our members stay on top of what's going on and, more important, what is going to be involved in the future. And having said that, we're here today to discuss just exactly those plans, and it's important for us to interact with each other, but of course we do not just have any discussions which would in any way be considered to be anti-competitive, nor do we exclude anyone from membership in our association to whom it becomes important. Have a great meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Les, and really appreciate you bringing up the strategic plan from before as well, too. We really are an organization that's built on the heritage of many years, and we're looking at now taking that to the next level. So thank you very much for bringing that up, Les. Appreciate it. I'd now like to ask Rich Whitlock, our secretary, for the approval of our previous minutes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes as distributed on the tables from our general meeting of May 15th, 2015. May I get a motion? Motion from John. May I get a second? I'm sorry. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. If I can have final approval of the motion, please. If you agree, say aye, please. Thank you very much. Any nays? Thank you. I'd like to move into the President's report now. Boy, what a year. I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled with the team that I was very blessed and privileged to work with this year. So much was accomplished. Let me start by sharing what our mission, what our direction was at the beginning of the year. And that was to be an inclusive organization and an organization that was relevant, that brought relevancy to the industry, to your companies, and to yourself. We wanted to be inclusive to ensure we heard your voice, that we invited you to participate both at a chapter level and at a state level, and to expand that inclusiveness to other like organizations. As we know, this industry is converging with so many like professions, so many like associations, and we want to ensure that we continue to grow that way. Now, it's nice to have a mission, but we also need some measurements behind it. So we had 3 measurements that we put in place for 2015. The first was we wanted to achieve at least $50,000 additional revenue. The second is we wanted to increase membership by 5%. And the third was we wanted to increase participation at these events by 10%. I am delighted to share with you that we achieved all 3 of those measurements, and we are on track to overachieve the revenue one. We're just getting the final numbers in from San Francisco right now. That doesn't come from a few people. That comes from everyone participating in one way or another. So thank you very much to everyone, and a round of applause to all of you. We had many people participate in this, from our committee chairs. What a wow factor, taking it to the next level with their own measurements. Hours and hours of work that they put in tirelessly to ensure that we could move to the next level. You will be hearing their reports later. To our regional chapter presidents, another wow factor, bringing in people from outside the industry with new perspectives to share with us leadership, technology, directions, the millennials, where we should be focused so that we continue to remain relevant, because it's not just about relevancy this year, but it's as we move forward as well. So thank you to all of those leaders in our organization. We appreciate it very much. I'd like to share a couple other highlights from this year. Very excited. Mary Beth Shaughnessy from ISC is here. Very excited about the renewal of our agreement with ISC for the next 3 years. Have been tremendous partners with us. We participate in ISC. I know you're going to be coming up later to speak, but really wanted to thank you for that renewal of the contract. Excited to work with you. And SIA, very, very excited. We are moving into an affiliated membership with them. This is a first time where we will be an affiliate member of SIA, and they will be an affiliate member of CAA to continue to form stronger relationships across the industry. It's amazing as we talk how much of us have like minds of where we want to go. And I think having more of the associations work together is going to be tremendous for us. ESA, President Marshall Marinus, and all of the work that you and Merlin and your team are doing, so greatly appreciated. And we want to help support that. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. You have a phenomenal mentorship program. We want to make sure we're helping you with that, supporting you with that, and moving forward with it. So to continue to build those directions is really what we are hoping to achieve. Let's move into 2016 a little bit now. So we've talked about the transformational leadership platform. What does that mean? We want to ensure that we are keeping pace and leading the security industry. As I had mentioned before, the industry is converging. IT professions, integrators, many of us have those individuals in our companies right now. They have associations. We need to reach out to them. We need to ensure that we are being inclusive. We had a strategy meeting on Wednesday, and we'll be talking about this later this afternoon, but there was one common theme that kept going through it, and that was inclusivity. So we want to ensure that we continue that throughout 2016, and you will see that. We will be announcing more of the directions in 2016, but I will share with you that we are looking at 4 key leadership workshops that we believe are going to be a wow factor for you and for your business to help you be better business people and have better businesses and improve and continue to improve this growing industry. So very excited to move forward with all of you. Thank you very much again for being here. That concludes my president's report, and I'd now like to hand it over. Get my agenda out here. I'd now like to hand it over to Dave Michael for the treasurers and the business report, please.
Good morning, everyone. 2015 has been a pretty good year financially for the CAA so far. Through the third quarter, revenues were $4,500 below budget. One of the good news items, dues were $1,500 above budget, which reversed a declining trend and is a very good indication of participation and health of the association. Very good news, expenses were over $10,000 below budget. And through the third quarter, we're showing a net profit of $18,000, which is about $12,000 ahead of budget. So very positive news. Cash on hand as of the third quarter was $116,000 and change, which is very good news. Our budget committee recently met to draft a budget for 2016. The budget committee consisted of Kathy Rempel, Vice Presidents Tim Westfall and Chuck Petrusia, our Executive Director Jerry Lenander, our accountant Charles Schwager, and myself. No real dramatic changes for 2016. And we are budgeting a balanced budget with a $102 net profit for 2016. And I believe we need a motion and for approval of the 2016 budget.
So I'd like to ask for an approval for the budget for 2016. Second, please. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much. It's approved.
And thank you for holding your applause.
Are there any questions for Dave? Okay. The next person that I would like to ask is Les Gold for your legal report, please.
Thank you. Several things have come up during our last meeting, and I talk about the frequent questions which were asked about. And interestingly enough, several companies have called and inquired whether or not companies who are providing CCTV or camera service, whether or not they have to be licensed under the Alarm Company Act. And this is a question which has come up in Canada, and I'll mention that in just a few moments as to why. And of course, the question is we have to look at what is the definition of an alarm company and what's the definition of an alarm system. And of course, the definition is if you sell, install, monitor, service, then of course you have to be licensed. And of course, some of the companies who have been coming in and saying, well, with the cameras, we're installing cameras, but you know, the cameras are monitoring 24/7. There are no intrusion. We just monitor as to what happens. Well, of course, we have a provision in California which makes it a little simpler. If the police are intended to be called, then of course you have to be licensed. If the police are not intended to be called, then perhaps you don't have to be licensed. I mention this because in Canada, and we've gotten several calls now, companies who are providing the cameras, they don't want to be considered alarm companies because in Canada, the municipalities have basically taken the position that if there is a false alarm, the alarm company has to pay for it, which of course really creates havoc with their businesses. Now, I've explained to them how successful the California Alarm Association has been because we've undertaken the responsibility on 2 separate occasions of filing actions against municipalities and who have attempted to fine the alarm companies. And in both cases, we've been very, very successful. Kind of interesting because in Canada, apparently the companies just are not or have not been that interested, although I believe that that position is going to change very, very rapidly because from what I understand, many of the cities are adopting ordinances which effectively will fine the alarm company. So in any event, that becomes a very, very important issue. I mentioned municipalities, and I would like to just point out at this point how fortunate we are with BSIS, and I know we're going to have a report, but I mentioned that many years ago, And I just take in Southern California, in the county of Los Angeles, there are 66 cities. And at one point, I think 50 of the 66 cities had ordinances regulating alarm companies. So this association got together and they said, go up to Sacramento and see if we can get a law which regulates alarm companies. And we were able to get the Alarm Company Act passed. Took us 5 years because the League of California Cities opposed us for the 5 years. And after 5 years, this association was successful in getting the act passed. Some years later, there was an attempt to sunset the act because the state felt that there were no enforcement provisions. So we assisted the state at that time in amending the act to have the enforcement provisions included. And we've been so successful, we've been so fortunate because we've worked so closely with the BSIS. And I know we're going to have a report from Chief Laura Ellercon, and Laura's here, and I know she's worked so closely with our association in really working with the industry, not just to be a watchdog for the public, but to help the industry in dealing with the public. I know we have another question that we're waiting for a response now. In California, we were successful. It was kind of interesting because in every state, a limited liability company could be an alarm company. In California, it was expressly precluded. And with the assistance with BSIS, we were able to get the law changed last year so that an alarm company can be an LLC. The question then becomes, if you change from a corporation to an LLC, do you have to reapply and go through the whole process again? And I know BSIS is working on it. Hopefully we'll hear from Chief Alarcon in a little while to see where they're at with the regulations in that regard. Another issue that has come up, and I know Lillian and I spoke about it just the other day on electronic contracts, and John may want to talk about that in a little while, where through the efforts of ADT, a law was passed here in California where alarm companies can engage in providing electronic contracts. One of the problems we had, of course, was you were required under the law to give a 3-day notice of your intent to rescind the contract or terminate the contract, and you had to give your client or your customer an actual document which says, I hereby rescind. And the question was, can you do it electronically? Originally, under the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act, you could do that, but we were expressly really precluded when it was a home solicitation agreement. Well, now the act has been passed, so alarm companies can effectively electronically enter into contracts and electronically deal with the 3-day notice. Going through it, one of the issues that have come up, and it's come up particularly with the MAMA Association, and it's called patent trolls. And this goes more to the manufacturers than it does to the supplying companies. But there are folks out there, particularly law firms, who file the lawsuits on behalf of an individual client complaining that the company is in some way interfering or infringing upon their patents. Last month, or I believe in October, 2 months ago, hundreds and hundreds of these lawsuits were filed, principally in the Eastern District of Texas, where there's a court that has been very, very friendly to these folks who file these patent trolls. In any event, some of our alarm manufacturers have been involved in these patent troll lawsuits, and they also sometimes name the users of the equipment. And I don't know if any of the folks here have been involved in it, but it's something that we should watch very, very closely, because if you don't rise up and defend against it, these folks file, and what ends up happening is they try and get you to settle because it costs a tremendous amount of money, particularly in legal fees, to defend these things, even if you're going to win.
Lastly, I was at a conference a few months ago where they were discussing the privacy and data compliance of companies. And we were looking at it in terms of our own law firm, and we became very, very concerned because there are specific regulations now and liabilities to companies who do not comply. And then I start thinking about it in terms of our industry, because not only do we have our own companies where we have to comply with these rules and regulations, but we are holding confidential information of our customers and our suppliers and our subscribers. So effectively, we have, I think, a potential dual liability, and it can become a very, very important issue, not only for the alarm monitoring companies, but for the manufacturers. And I know Sue Ross is going to be giving a presentation in that area, and Sue's become an expert this afternoon at 4 o'clock. And if you're not in compliance, I would strongly urge everyone to show up and listen, because it's going to have a very, very significant effect on all of the companies. Having said that, unless anyone has any questions, that concludes my report.
Thanks very much, Les. We appreciate all the work that you're doing for us and for that report. I'd now like to invite Tim Westphal to come up for the legislative report, please.
So the CAA Ledge Committee consists of Shane Clary, Ron Lander, John Sargent, and Matt Westphal. And we meet monthly and try to review all that's going on in legislature to ensure that there's health between our industry and government. But what happens more often than not is our wonderful partners over at Edelstein, Robson, Gilbert, and Smith, our legislative advocates, is they notify us of stuff that's going on, and we work together to try to make sure language is healthy for both sides. So for the annual Ledge report, I'd like to invite Trent Smith up to the stage to give the report for the year. It's been a busy year, and we're very lucky to have these guys working for us. So thanks for being here, Trent.
Thanks, Tim. As Tim mentioned, it has been a very busy year, and Les alluded to a couple of the legislative accomplishments from the year. 3 years ago, the California Alarm Association sponsored legislation to allow companies to organize as LLCs. That law was going to expire January 1 of 2016, but we did pass legislation this year to extend that for another 3 years. And then ADT sponsored the legislation on electronic contracts, and we worked in partnership with them to get that bill passed. And again, that'll take effect January 1 of 2016. So in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to use electronic contracts in in-home sales. This time last year, I mentioned another issue that was emerging, and it was that the Bureau of Security and Investigative Services was going to be undergoing a sunset review, which basically means the legislature was going to look at all of the work that the Bureau does, have some hearings, and determine if they were meeting their goals of consumer protection and suggest any changes that were necessary. One of the issues that arose during that discussion was better consumer disclosure on evergreen clauses, automatic renewal clauses. There was language that was inserted in the bill in April. The California Alarm Association was satisfied with that language. Later in the process, the language was changed, and as we took a closer look at it, determined it probably wasn't going to be language that was going to be workable for the California Alarm Association. Luckily, again, we have a great working relationship with the Bureau and Chief Alarcon. She made herself available along with the Department of Consumer Affairs. We had several phone calls in the last week of session to discuss the language. One of the concerns we had, and it was shared with us from the Department of Consumer Affairs, is what they had actually envisioned was having the law read so that when all of your existing contracts expire, you would have to go back, notify that customer that their contract was expiring and that they had an automatic renewal provision in their contract, and you would have to seek approval to get that contract renewed. So all of those thousands, tens of thousands of contracts that you've probably had for decades, you were going to have to, again, recognize when the renewal date was and make a proactive effort to go and get sign-off for the evergreen clause. Again, it was Chief Alarcon who, when we expressed how troublesome this was going to be, a lot of work, very expensive. I think she and the Department of Consumer Affairs talked a little bit, and it was determined that they were not going to pursue that element of the bill. So what we negotiated will be prospective. It will be whenever the bill passes, and it's still, we've got work to do in 2016. But what it's likely going to look like is in your contracts, you will have to have a separate disclosure for the evergreen clause. However, we were able to negotiate so that you can put that in your separate 3-day right of rescission notice. So now you can have a separate document that would include your 3-day right of rescission and receive an acknowledgement from the customer that there's an evergreen clause and what the terms of the evergreen clause is. So we kind of finalized that language, but then the bill got held up on some other matters. Really the big focus of the year, and Chief Alarcon might get into this a little bit in her presentation, but it really was the focus of firearm permits, mainly in the private investigator, private security guard world because of various cases of people accidentally discharging their weapon and a few other media stories that kind of drove that issue. It's still a little bit unresolved on how some new requirements for firearms permits for alarm companies will be handled. And so if any of you are an alarm company that has your own security guards and they carry a firearm, check with me, and better yet, we'll try to put you in contact with Chief Alarcon, because we need to kind of get some background on how that works, and you need to be aware because that's going to continue to play out in the upcoming year. So that bill still, it's carried over into 2016. We'll hopefully get that finalized and get that passed, but I think based on the negotiations we had very late in the session, we're in a good spot with regards to the evergreen clause disclosure. The other thing I wanted to mention, in 2015, the California Alarm Association had their very first legislative day in Sacramento. It was in March. We had a very good turnout. People from all over the state came to Sacramento. We arranged meetings with their legislators. Several of the participants got to meet with their senator or their assembly member. People were taken down onto the assembly floor for a private tour with their assembly member. There was all kinds of great feedback. We had a lunchtime speaker, a former county sheriff who shared a lot of great stories with regards to alarms and stuff that wasn't related to alarms but was quite colorful. So we are having the second legislative day, March 16th this year. So we encourage you all to attend. We want to continue to build this day up. It's really part of your overall governmental affairs program, grassroots effort. If you get to know your legislator personally, when we have an issue that comes up in the legislature, we as your lobbyists can go to that legislator and say, hey, do you remember meeting John Sargent or whoever from your area? And there's more of a personal connection, and it actually they get to learn about your business, and it makes it a lot easier on our lobbying effort. Final thing I'll bring up is I just want to thank all of you. The California Alarm Association has done a great job in the last few years of building your political action committee, your PAC fund. I think this past year we made recommendations and your board approved about $20,000 in contributions to various legislators. We make the recommendations to your board based on what we think a particular legislator, if they have a good understanding of your business, a good understanding of general business issues, And then again, we will make those recommendations and your board approves them. And again, that's a very important part of your governmental affairs program, building up some identity within the capital community, and that just helps us in the long run when things happen similar to the bills we had this year. So that concludes my report, and again, it's a great pleasure to represent the California Alarm Association in Sacramento.
As I said earlier, we are extremely fortunate for this group to be able to work with Trent's group, so thanks, Trent. And as both Les and Trent mentioned, we have a great working relationship with the BSIS, and we're very fortunate to have Chief Laura Alarcon with us today. And if I can invite her up to the stage to give her report.
Good morning, everyone. I'm actually going to be very brief today because the essence of the update for the Bureau was I provided that yesterday during the noontime presentation. But I do want to start by thanking the California Alarm Association by working with the Bureau in all of our endeavors. We very much appreciate the support and the service that is provided by members of the CAA, notably John Sargent and Matt Westfall, who serve on the Bureau's Alarm Disciplinary Review Committee, as well as Tim Westfall, who is a member of the Bureau's Advisory Committee. Their insight and input is very valuable in the activities that the Bureau carries out, and those activities are the ones that influence the industry statewide. So we very much appreciate that collaboration that we have with your association and the members that are representing and involved with the Bureau. Thank you very much on that. Kind of piggybacking a little bit off of some of the previous comments that were shared, I do want to make a couple reminders that highlight from yesterday's presentation. How many of you in this room, and I asked this question yesterday, and the show of hands were a little bit lower than I would have hoped for, but we've got a broader spectrum of the representation today. How many of you are aware that the Bureau is going to be transitioning to a new licensing enforcement database next month? Okay, well, that's good. How many of you got the message out there that individuals or qualified managers or alarm companies that were scheduled to have their license expire the end of this month or January needed to renew before November 30th? Okay, so the show of hands is telling me we need to do more in getting the information out to you, and one of the best avenues for us to be able to provide you that information is for you to subscribe to our interested parties list. And I would venture to say that if I were asked to show of hands of individuals that are on the interested party list, it would pretty much align with the individuals that were aware of the changes that are going on with the Bureau. So I did have in a slide yesterday, and I do just want to reiterate, on the Bureau's main webpage, which is bsis.ca.gov, in the center right portion of the main page are quick hits. Under that quick hits is a link to subscribe to the interested parties list. Given all the changes that have been happening with the Bureau, not only this year in 2015, having it undergo its first legislative sunset review, the BREEZE program, changes that are going on in legislation, getting on the interested parties list is one of the most valuable ways that you can stay in touch in what's happening. Notably, for alarm companies, we sent out an email blast to the interested party list, and we also issued letters to over 5,000 not only alarm companies, but all the other businesses that we regulate that are organized either as a corporation or a limited liability company, making note that if you, company, want to be able to utilize the new BREEZE licensing system at launch time, you needed to provide the Bureau with your federal employment identification number. I'll be honest with you, those letters went out probably about 6 weeks ago. Over 5,000 letters were sent out, and the response rate has been about 25%. So that's telling me that most of the industry will not have immediate access to BREEZE. If you go to the Bureau's website, we do have information now at this point on how to get that information to the Bureau, but if you are interested in being able to utilize that at Go Live, a company organized as a corporation or an LLC, you need to provide that information to the Bureau. Mr. Smith mentioned, or Trent Smith mentioned that the assignment of an alarm license. So absolutely correct that several years ago legislation was enacted to allow an entity, an alarm company, to be organized as a limited liability company. That legislation enactment predated my starting with the Bureau. When I started with the Bureau, it was noted that while the legislation put into place the statutory authority for an assignment of license, and it did put in the authority for the Bureau to impose a fee to carry out that transaction, no regulations were ever promulgated in order to be able to enable the Bureau to have the authority to issue, to collect that fee. And as a result, we basically, I know that there were initially a couple of alarm companies predating me that were able to get their licenses signed, but there was no authority for the fee, so basically we had to put a halt on it. During this last year, I've had staff in the policy unit working on the regulations to be able to establish the fee. The Office of Administrative Law adopted the fees in September of this year, and the fees go into effect on January 1, 2016. So effective January 1, 2016, any entity, and it's not only a business organization that's a corp wanting to go into an LLC, it can be even a sole owner wanting to go to a partnership or going to a corporation. And essentially what is happening when you assign the license is it enables you, the licensee, to maintain your existing license number and assign it over to your new business organizational structure. The caveat to an assignment is, and this is in the law, is the same ownership that existed for the entity prior to the assignment has to be the identical ownership with the new entity after the assignment. So if you have, for example, a sole owner going to a corporation and you're going to be extending out the ownership, the shareholders of the corporation, legally an assignment may not be able to be done. However, I think in order for us to be able to say whether it will be doable, you're going to be writing a letter to the Bureau, to my attention, requesting the assignment of a license. At this point in time, you'll be completing an alarm application, putting down all the ownership information. The Bureau will compare that information to what's on file with the Bureau and make a determination whether the assignment can be done. In regards to SB 468, yes, it is correct that the evergreen clause is in the bill. It is a 2-year bill. We continue to have discussions on the clause, but pretty much the information that was previously shared with you is where the Bureau is very content in how that activity will be carried out. And we very much want to hear from you in the alarm industry if you are employing agents who are in possession of a firearm and in possession of BSIS firearm permit. It's a little bit difficult for the Bureau to hone down on that specific data because oftentimes we may have a registrant that will hold multiple licenses. We could have a security guard who also holds an alarm agent, and because only one license can be used as the qualifier for the firearm permit, we could actually have somebody who was working as an alarm agent with a firearm permit but have the firearm permit associated with the guard registration. And as we continue to have discussions with Senator Hill's office, committee staff, and even the governor's office on where this is going to land on basically the mental health requirement in order to get a BSIS firearm permit, we need to hear a little bit more about how that firearm permit is being utilized in the industry. So if you are one of those companies that does employ alarmed agents, I'd be very happy to hear from you, and so that we can have better understanding of the implications of the proposed language or the proposed approach that's going to be ultimately adopted on the firearm permits. I think that basically covers what I was going to discuss today. Do I have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We also, on the agenda, have a special recognition for Noreen DeKonig. Unfortunately, she's sick today, but she's someone that's worked for the Bureau of Investigative Services for over 30 years on alarm licensing, and I'm sure you've all worked with her. So we wish her a speedy recovery, and we'll get her recognition award to her maybe in Palm Springs. But that concludes the government relations report for the CAA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Very much appreciate all the work that you are doing and those that are working with you as well, too. I just want to go back briefly because there are two really important elements that were brought up, and I think they're worth repeating just briefly. Trent, thank you so very much for the work that you're doing. We know it's tireless, that you're on the Hill, that you're reading what's going on for us and representing us. And when we're talking about that evergreen clause, there are two pieces of that that are critical. How many of us can imagine going to our customers every single time at the end of the year to get a contract renewed? And the dangers associated with that. But there's another component with that, and that was Trent's ability to not just have it not being renewed, but in fact that we would not have to change our contracts, because I know that they were looking at having that wording at the top of our contracts as well. So thank you very much for that. And for Chief Alarcon, thank you so much for sharing with us about Breeze. That is going to make, I think, all of our lives so much easier, and for all the work that you're doing. So I wanted to spend some special recognition for both of you. At this point in time, we are very excited. We're about to move into our public safety report. Before we do that, we are being honored by the Chief of Fire here in San Francisco. If I could ask Chief Joan Hayes-White to come to the podium, I apologize for that, and say a few words to us, it'd be terrific. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. Good morning and welcome to San Francisco. It's a great privilege for me to be here. This morning I was asked by Jerry a few weeks ago when he told me that you were going to be in town for your convention. So I wanted to stop by and welcome you to our beautiful city and thank you for the work that you do in your industry. I know you work closely with NFPA, with the State Fire Marshal in helping keep our communities safe, and closely with, I know, our Bureau of Fire Prevention and Investigation. We have a robust staff in San Francisco. We employ about 1,500 members. There's approximately 75 assigned to our Bureau of Fire Prevention and Investigation. And I know that you do great work, and I encourage you to link together during the convention, but also to enjoy San Francisco. I'm a native San Franciscan. I've been serving in the San Francisco Fire Department for 26 years. Next month, I'll have 12 years working as the Chief of Department, and I'm very proud of that. I'm also proud to be a mother of 3 boys, and I wanted to link the story of how I got to know a little bit about the California Alarm Association. My oldest son, Riley, was a recipient of one of your scholarship awards 4 years ago, and I'm proud to say that he'll be graduating in June from Santa Clara University with a degree in finance. So thank you for your generosity. He was seeking a lot of different information about, Mom, what kind of scholarships can I apply for? And to actually receive this scholarship meant a lot to him and to me as well. So thank you for that. And I also understand that there is a link, and you are great supporters of our toy program too. And I can tell you that makes a huge difference for a child, people that are less fortunate than us, not having, the ability to purchase toys for their children, and to support that as well is we're very appreciative of. So I hope you have a wonderful conference. Stay safe and enjoy our great city. Thank you.
Chief Hayes-White, thank you. Chief Hayes-White, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We believe in partnerships with public safety, and you being here is just part of that. So thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. At this time, I'd like to call up our Public Safety Chair, Mark Simpson, and I believe Ron Walters from SEAC is also going to be joining us on stage for the Public Safety Report.
Good morning. I know we're running a little late, so I will try to keep this brief. First, I want to thank John Sargent, Rich Whitlock, Ron and Stan from SEAC for always contributing to this report and helping us stay updated on the activity that's occurring throughout the state. Briefly, the City of Sacramento began using the CryWolf web portal for customers to apply for and maintain their alarm permits. Customers can now go online and take care of all of those themselves. A few months ago, the City of Los Angeles, it came up that the fire department was considering implementing an alarm ordinance with fines for false alarms. There is nothing new to report there on that activity. There hasn't been any movement there yet, but we have George Gunning and Shane Clary with their ear to the ground, and they're working closely with the City Council there, and they will keep us advised if anything occurs there. Some commercial businesses throughout the state have been reporting that they are receiving phony invoices for fire inspections performed by a fictitious alarm company. I believe Colette came, brought it to our attention, and one of her customers received an invoice from a company called Red Mountain Security with a P.O. box in Ontario saying, please send us a check for $500 for your fire inspection. It turns out that P.O. box goes to a UPS store, and we don't know who these guys are. So in any event, if any of your customers receive something like that, we've been advised to just report that to the local district attorney. And lastly, there's discussion in the industry regarding proposing a new name for what's known as enhanced call verification or two-call verification, which is the central station procedure of making 2 calls upon receipt of an intrusion alarm before actually dispatching the police. However, the term verification can be misinterpreted by law enforcement to mean crime in progress. So we're trying to come up with a better name. If you have any ideas, let me know. 2-call verification attempt, possibly, but anyway, we're trying to make sure that what we communicate to public safety is concise and accurate. So that concludes my report. Oh, okay, sure. Do you want me to introduce him? And Ron Walters with SEAC has a few words as well. Sure. Thanks, Ron.
Reset the clock down here for 30 minutes. Good morning, board, members, officials, and Bart didn't. It's one. I got up here a year ago, and I told you that we were going to start a very ambitious program in California, and we've lived up to those obligations, and every penny and then a whole lot of dollars that were donated in the state of California last year were spent in the state of California last year. None of those dollars offset my moving expenses to move here. But we engaged 78 jurisdictions in 20 states last year. Engaging doesn't mean sending one letter, one phone call. It means multiple contacts, and almost 30% of those were in the state of California. I would really encourage you to look over the sheet that I put on the tables out there. Bart, do you have one? I do, Ron. That's 2. What's not on this list is that there is a new effective tool, anti-burglary tool in Florida. Evidently, they were chasing a burglar who tried to escape and jumped in a lake and was eaten by an alligator. I guess we would have to use coyotes here. But anyway, if you look at the things that we do for you, that keep you in your office running your company, nobody here had to write a letter to an official last year. Nobody had to go and meet with a police chief or a fire chief. SEAC handles it all for you. And there's this mistaken issue out in the industry where, look, I just can't give $100,000. Well, I can't either, so I appreciate that. It doesn't have to be. If everybody gives $100 and makes a commitment to do that every year, those are things that we can budget on. We lost $50,000 worth of revenue this year in donations. It's all due to acquisitions. We're buying each other up. So Bart does some of that too. That would be not Bart Simpson, but Bart didn't. 3. Yeah, okay. And So I would encourage you, it's always a great idea. You get motivated here and you go, I'm going to donate, and you go home and you forget about us, because that's the nature of what we do for you. We're there all the time. Had an issue last week that showed up on a Friday, and by this week we were meeting with that agency about an ordinance that just wasn't going to fly. So that's the kind of response we've always been able to give. I don't know that we can continue to be able to give it if we lose more revenue this year. So if you could find it in your hearts, either scan this target on the handout, write an amount on the back of a business card and hand it to me. We'll invoice you. We'll find some way for you to get a couple of $100 or $100 to us. Bart, would that be okay with you? Bart gives $50 every time his name gets mentioned in public. So if every speaker that gets up here today, Bart, thank you very much. Thank you to the California Alarm Association, greatest organization in the country, state organization in the country, and a fantastic staff, and applaud yourselves as well.
And Ron, on behalf of the California Alarm Association, we would like to give you this token of our appreciation for everything that you do for our association and for the industry nationwide. So thank you very much. Thank you. And that concludes our report.
Thank you very much, Mark, for all that you're doing, and for Ron, for SEAC, and everything that you're doing for us. I think we've all worked with you in some way, shape, or form, and know all of the importance that you're bringing to the various locations that we are representing. At this point in time, unfortunately, Larry St. John is not here to deliver the membership report, so I believe that Rich Whitlock is going to do it on his behalf.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll try and look as pretty as Larry St. John, but I know I'm going to fail already. For membership changes in 2015, we had 4 cancels, 5 new with a net change of +1. For regular members, we had 8 canceled, 13 new for a net change of a +5. So we reached the association's goal for the increase in membership that we were looking for. We continue to work on reasons for membership, including testimonials have been received, and we're looking to do more with those in the mirror, and looking for feedback and looking for your testimonials on CAA. We continue to promote the ESA membership benefits program. I want to mention that Lowe's is now a member of that program, and you can receive an additional 2%. It's a very easy process. All it requires is an email to the program. You'll get an email back saying that you're now included in that program. This is just one example of the many, many benefits that ESA provides, and this membership program that they have is just phenomenal. I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit later about Sarge, but they also now have an A rating for liability products available. We are continuing to develop affiliated outreach programs, and you're going to see us more at a lot of the partners that are here today, ISC, CAFA, SIA. We're continuing to do outreach with them. That is the very short version of Larry's report.
Thank you very much, Rich. We very much appreciate you doing that for us. The next report that we're going to give is the sales and marketing report, and I'm going to keep this brief. Basically, our revenues are up 27%, so we're very excited about that, and I had alluded to that earlier. We also have a couple goals in mind. We would like to keep our operating funds between $40,000 to $60,000 and have reserve operating funds of $100,000. That being said, we don't do that alone. Jerry Lenander, our executive office, who reaches out on a regular basis to all of you to ensure that our vision is being shared, that you can donate to our sponsors, all of the work they're doing. That's what's making the difference in our sales and marketing and the mirror and the emails and everything that they're doing. So at this point in time, I'd very much like to give recognition to Jerry Lenander, the executive office, Dan and Daniel that are over here, David that's been helping out, Kirk in the office. Thank you very much to all of you for all the work that you're doing. I'd now like to ask Dave Hood to come up for the technology report, please, as chair of the technology committee.
Good morning. Since we have a theme of brevity here on the committee meetings, I'll be very brief. The Technology Committee met last month, and our sole agenda was to put together content for the panel discussions that went on yesterday, and so hopefully those of you who attended enjoyed that. That's the fruits of the labor of my committee, and I want to say thanks to Chuck Petrucia, Sam Aviles, Matt Hoffman, and Sean Hamm, who assisted me, and that's the end of my report.
Dave, thank you very much. We really appreciate all you're doing. Let me share a little bit about the Technology Committee. Dave's very humble. Not only is he looking into the new technologies and sharing that with us, but also looking at how we should be using them. There's so many technologies, and it's continuing to grow, but what is right for our markets and for our companies? So he's bringing that aspect to it as well and really changing it up. So Dave, thank you so much. We truly appreciate everything that you are doing. At this point in time, I'm very excited to invite President Marshall Marinus to the stage, and also George DeMarco, who is the chair of ESX, and they're going to give a report to us on ESA and ESX, and Sarge as well too.
Thank you very much for the invitation to speak here today. I'm very excited to be here at the CAA Winter Convention. You are a great chapter with very active members and volunteers that raise the bar for our associations. I want to make sure you're aware of some of the new benefits and exciting things ESA is making available to you as members. First, I'd like to highlight the Workforce Development Program that we have undertaken to attract talent to our industry. We have created a short video that serves as a commercial for our industry. If you like what you see and you would like it customized with your logo and contact information, please let me know, or Shannon Murphy's here today. Video? No?
You hear it in the news every day. Crime in our communities. Now you can do something about it. Security industry jobs offer cutting-edge technology, life-changing purpose, job security, growth potential, flexibility, and independence, highly valued skills, an entrepreneurial environment, and a new mission for military veterans. No matter who you are, student, career changer, military veteran, or retiree, no matter what your interests, sales and marketing, account management, customer relations, technology, or service, in an industry that changes lives. Don't just talk about it, do something about it. Join more than 500,000 residential and commercial security industry professionals, making a difference in the lives of millions while reaching your own personal goals. For more information on where to start, visit getintosecurity.com.
GetIntoSecurity.com is a website that we launched earlier this year to educate potential employees about the benefits of a career in the security industry. Check it out today. We have also been receiving rave reviews on the Employee Recruitment and Retention Dealer Toolkit that was released in July. Here is a quick snapshot of the tools available, including updated titles and job descriptions for our industry, as well as compensation benchmarking data and retention best practices. There's also how-tos built into the toolkit for you. You can access this by logging on to esaweb.org/toolkit.com. I would like to also share exciting news about the launch of ESA's mentorship program that has been developed. It is a structured 9-month program that will kick off at our Leadership Summit. There is still time to sign up to be a mentor within the program or to sign up as a rising leader within the organization as mentees to aid their professional development. Please see Shannon Murphy with ESA here this week to learn more and submit your application. Switching gears a little bit, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our National Training School courses. Please, be sure to pick up a catalog and check out all of the instructor-led and online courses available. As you know, we offer general liability, errors, and omissions insurance through Security America Risk Retention Group. If you are not a current policy holder, I strongly encourage you to get a quote. I personally saved over $20,000 in insurance premiums in the last 6 years. In addition to training, insurance, and workforce development, ESA is hard at work at monitoring legislation and advocating for our industry. We also just released the new state licensing guide, so be sure to check out the new user-friendly design in our website. Let's talk about ESA events for a moment. If you haven't registered for the 2016 Leadership Summit, please do so right away. The summit delivers a powerful learning experience and the opportunity to create invaluable peer relationships. It is also being held close by in Chandler, Arizona. Please visit www.esasummit.com for more information to register. ESX is coming closer to you in 2016. It will be held in June, Fort Worth, Texas, so we hope you to save the date. More information will be available in January at esaweb.com. Now let's watch a quick video, which you can expect at ESX in June.
Explore, expand, exchange, evolve. ESX, the Electronic Security Expo. It is vibrant, dynamic, exciting, innovative, fun, and it's in the perfect location. ESX, June 8th through the 10th at the Fort Worth Convention Center. Explore the latest tools, trends, and technology. Expand your business and build relationships. Exchange ideas and strategies with like-minded peers and thought leaders. Evolve to be prepared for the future. Explore, expand, exchange, evolve. ESX, June 8th through the 10th at the Fort Worth Convention Center.
Great. Thank you very much for your time today. If I can be of any help with anything, please contact us today at our membership service department. Enjoy the day. I just would like to recognize several people that are very valuable to us. John Sargent, ESA Secretary. Deanne Harn, Vice President, ESA. Mike Keegan, wherever he is, President of Security America Risk Retention Group. Kathy, the board, thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Marshall, thank you so much for being here and supporting us. We really appreciate it. We'd like to give you this in recognition for being here. And we very much look forward to continuing to grow this relationship. We are an arm of ESA. We don't want to be reinventing the wheel. We want to be learning from your best practices, the mentorship program, and how we can support you as well, too. So thank you so very much.
Thanks again, Kathy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'd now like to introduce George DeMarco, who's going to be speaking to us in further detail about ESX.
Thank you very much. I feel like I'm in school. Everybody's sitting in the back. Aren't you? The overachievers are in the front here. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody. It's a great city to come and enjoy fellowship together. So I'd like to talk a little bit real quick about ESX. You just saw a video that explains a lot of what we're going to be doing. Our focus has always been on peer-to-peer education development. And one of the things that the overarching theme that I want to make sure that we're doing with ESX is to elevate the industry. And I think that's what we need to really focus on, is making sure that we're elevating so that we remain relevant and professional and competitive as we navigate the competitive landscape moving forward. One of the things that I really want to do is try to bring out outside industry experts on business. And to the main stage, we have brought some really great speakers in the past, but this year I think we're going to also outdo ourselves. Besides bringing back Alan Bolio, Dr. Bolio, he is an economist. He made such a huge impact on our attendees that we decided to bring him back again this year. We have folks that have fundamentally changed the way they do business after listening to Dr. Bolio. Another gentleman we're bringing in is Nicholas Webb. He is a futurist, and the reason why I was attracted to him was because he has 48 patents assigned to him. He's run as a CEO of a company, technology companies, and he also has worked with major technology companies, medical firms around the country. And I found out something after I talked to him, that he actually worked with a major security company trying to identify their attrition and how they can lower their attrition. So I invited him to come to CES. We're going to meet in CES so we can drill down a little bit more about his message at ESX. So in closing, I really want to invite you guys to come to ESX next year, because I think we as owners, entrepreneurs, C-level executives, we need to reinvest in ourselves and our people to make sure that we're running our businesses so we can operate at an excellent level, and also to make sure that we're delivering the customer experience that our customers expect. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, George. We appreciate everything you're doing, not just for ESX, but for CAA as well. You've been a terrific leader for all of us, and we appreciate everything that you are doing. All right, at this point in time, I'd like to invite Shane Clary to come up for the WBFAA update, please.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, regional presidents, et cetera. And as I'm beginning my presentation, if David Allen, his wife Daisy Allen, and John Sullivan can start making their way up to the front. The WBFA, we've have been in existence now for, I think, over 10 years, if not longer, as your apprenticeship program for the life safety technician requirements that the state of California has. We currently have over 100 member companies that are signatory to the WFA Unilateral Apprenticeship Training Program. We currently have about 120 apprentices going through the various semesters of training. This semester we have our largest ever first semester class with 50 students in it, and we have over 700 jurymen that are in the program as well. And this is how, through the juryman fees, how we fund our program for training in California. And it is a 3-year program, and at the end, an individual does graduate. And I have up here on the stage with me Mr. David Allen from Engineered Monitoring Systems, Inc. And EMS is one of the member companies of the WBFA UATC. So John Sullivan sends his employees through the program for training. Also on the stage with David is his wife, Daisy Allen. And we have here, somewhere, right here. Actually, when an individual graduates the program, they get 2 certificates. One from the state of California, that hasn't yet come through yet, but also from the United States Department of Labor, actually from the Secretary of Labor, is a certificate. So, David, on behalf of the WBFA UATC, congratulations for getting through the 3-year program. Thank you, sir. And then also to David is a toolkit from EDIF, who's one of our sponsors, or an affiliate of the California Alarm Association. So David, toolkit. And then buried in there someplace is well, not buried, it's been strategically placed, is a gift card from Lowe's for additional tools. Then finally, the program that we have is through Chabot College. So we've partnered with Chabot College, and the actual credits are issued through Chabot College, which is a community college in California. So David, as now a graduate of the program, here is your Chabot College sweatshirt. So, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, as you'll probably find out as I start to speak, this isn't my comfort zone. And they asked me to say a few words. So I'd like to thank my company, and I'd like to thank Mr. John Sullivan for having the faith in me to send me to the school. Dan from the WBFA office here, he pushed me along as I went through it. And Andrew and Pam and the webinar instructor there who kept us rolling and learning. And I love this avenue in my life and my wife and my family's life, and it's really been a big upside. So thank everybody. And I see 19 seconds. They told me 30 seconds. I have another page, but I think I lapped over it, and it isn't going to work right. That's good. Thank you.
And this completes our report.
Good morning. I'm John Sullivan, Vice President of Engineered Monitoring Systems, Vice President North for the California Automatic Fire Alarm Association, a partner in the WBFAA. I'm very proud of David. When I first met David, he was a C16 license holder. He is a licensed sprinkler fitter. And for him to undertake this apprenticeship program after that career was a very big doing. I'm very proud of the way he's conducted himself and the asset that he is, not only as a friend, but as a teammate in our company. I'd like to thank the CAA for their recognition of David and also their participation in the WBFAA program. Thank you all.
Shane, thank you very much. We appreciate everything. Congratulations to your recipients, and we really do appreciate everything that you're doing. Thank you so much. At this point in time, I would like to invite Mary Beth Shaughnessy and also Rand Price from SIA, Mary Beth from ISC, Rand Price from SIA to come up for their brief report.
Thank you, Kathy, and the board for inviting us here again to represent ISC and SIA. It's great to see you all. As Kathy mentioned, we've just renewed our 3-year contract with CAA. We've been partners for 17 years, and we are very happy that we've extended our contract through 2018. We appreciate all of the support all of you, the members, give to us. And we're really looking on ways to continue to expand the ways we work together. As you know, we currently hold the CAA Breakfast, your association pavilion, ISC SIA Love Security, we do lanyards, we're sponsoring chapter golf outings. So there's many different ways that we can work together as organization, and really we're always looking for new ways to become involved with your association. So feel free to come on up and give me any ideas. We love it. A couple of highlights real quickly for ISC East and ISC West. We just came off of ISC East about 3 weeks ago, and we had a record banner show. We were thrilled. We had over 5,000 total industry professionals. For those of you who are familiar with ISC East, we've struggled over the past few years with branding, and we're really back on track. We had 200 plus security brands represented. SIA education at ISC sessions were standing room only. Show floor was packed both days. I mean, I can go on, but it was really a great feel-good moment for us, so we're really excited about it. I personally have to say that the highlight of my show was looking up and seeing Gene and Grant Jordan standing in front of me all the way from California. I couldn't believe they were in New York, so thank you guys for coming and attending ISC East. ISC West, I'd say one of our biggest accomplishments was getting that CAA Association banner finally over your booth at the persistent request of George Gunning. So hopefully you guys were able to find your booth on the show floor, and that was great for us. But we did have over 29,000 total industry professionals. We had 1,000 security brands represented. We had great SIA education at ISC. We had an amazing public safety day that SIAC was quite involved in, helped us get our keynote speaker. And again, just all the support we receive from the manufacturers, the dealers, the members, the board, just your entire association. We really could not achieve these results without your participation, so thank you for that. I'm now going to turn it over to Kelly Miller, and she's going to tell you about some exciting new ideas we've got for 2016. And before I do that, I just want to say a final thank you to the board, to Jerry Lenander and his team, who are amazing to work with, to all of the manufacturers, everybody in the audience, for your friendship, your support of ISC and SIA. You know, really, we love this relationship. You guys are our biggest association supporter, and I really just, and we all love the passion you have for the industry, so thank you. Kelly, I'm take it from there.
Thank you, Mary Beth. I'm just going to give a quick update on ISC West 2016. The show floor is already 75% sold out, which we're really excited about. And one of the ways we're going to grow the event this year is through a co-located event called Connected Security Expo at ISC West. Over the past few years, we've noticed that a lot of IT security professionals have been attending ISC West. And so we decided that we're going to move along with the industry and launch Connected Security Expo to bridge the gap between physical and logical security. The event will run same days as ISC West, April 6th through the 8th. It'll be downstairs in Hall G, and education will also run April 5th through the 6th. We're really excited where the industry is going, and we're hoping to move ISC West in the same direction. And now I'm going to pass it to Rand Price.
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. As you know, SIA is the sole sponsor of the ISC West and the East trade shows. We've had a very positive relationship with CAA for many, many years and helped support the Rock House events that Jerry and his team put on at ISC West. 2015 has been a great year for SIA, both in terms of membership recruitment and programs and products created for our association. We have 110 new members this year alone, which puts the total membership of SIA over 600 for the first time ever. I wanted to highlight quickly a couple of our accomplishments this year. Our core areas within the organization are standards, education, and government relations. This year, our project manager certification program has undergone a major overhaul, where before the education and certification aspects of the program were intertwined, they are now two separate components. The SPM program focuses on education and training, and the certification revolves around the CSPM exam. This year, we had over 110 people sit the CSPM exam. At education at ISC West, we delivered 62 sessions over 3 days and saw an 18% uptick in registration. And presenter evaluation scores were up 2% from last year. SIA Standards Department continues to see a strong implementation of a recently revised CP01 standard. The latest iteration has focused on interoperability between panels and remote devices such as smartphones and tablets. Our Government Relations Department has been busy with the launch of Security Advocates website. This is a site dedicated to informing our members about relevant legislation, both at the federal and state local levels. It also highlights our policy priorities such as school safety and critical infrastructure protection. Our School Security Interest Group, PASS, has released a best practices guide on K-12 security at IHC West this year. Based on the success of this group, we have launched a group focusing on healthcare security and will be spearheading the formation of a Retail Security Interest Group. In closing, I want to note that our signature event, the Securing New Ground Conference in New York last month, enjoyed record attendance this year. We also received much positive feedback from the content and the presenters. I'll be around for the duration of the program. Love to talk to you about membership and organization, and again, appreciate the opportunity this morning.
Thank you again very much to CIA and ISC. We value your partnership, and in appreciation, we'd like to leave you with a Thank you so much. At this point in time, I'd like to invite Sam Aviles up for our Associate Director's report.
Bart Dyden. This conference gives us an opportunity to network and meet with over 100 of our leading suppliers, and we're here to thank our associate members. It's my privilege to acknowledge our sponsors. So if I could have the representative of the company that I name come up to the right-hand side of the stage and accept their sponsorship recognition. And if I could have you go downstairs. You can stay up here with me? I'd like to start with the acknowledgments of our bronze with Bosch, DMP, Reitman, Mongoltel, Videofied, ADT, the Mid-Cal Alarm Association, MS&K, Nortec Security and Controls, DSC, Valley Alarm, NAPCO, Security America, It's Paid, Central Alarm Monitoring, UCC, and Vivotech. If I could have a round of applause for our bronze. And now I'd like to call up our silver sponsors: Intrado, NMC, Net1, Triad, Tyco Integrated Security, SIA, Rapid Response, Monotronic Security, ADI, and Honeywell Fire Systems. And now to our gold sponsors: Altronics, Interlogics, and Alarm.com. And now to our platinum sponsors: Bay Alarm, and ISC. And finally, with our diamond sponsor, may I have Honeywell come up? And this concludes my report.
Sam, thank you very much. Sam was voted in again for 2016. We're excited to be working with you. He truly does carry the voice of our associate members. And thank you very much to all of our sponsors. We appreciate it. This is what makes a difference. This is what's going to make a difference moving us forward in 2016. At this point in time, I'd also like to give recognition to another award, and that's the Mark Schubert Award. This award is for an outstanding associate member that goes above and beyond in volunteering and giving their time to the organization. This is an award that we actually present at our Palm Springs Summer Convention, and we very much look forward to doing so at that convention. The final committee report we have today, last but most definitely not least, is our scholarship committee chaired by Lillian Schmont. If I can ask you to join us on stage for your brief report, please.
Thank you, Madam President, and I understand that as the last speaker of the day, I've been allotted 20 minutes to discuss the scholarship program, so thank you so much for being patient. Before and while I begin my presentation on the scholarship committee, I would like to call my very good friend and colleague, Rick Gumbar, to the stage, please. I would also like to call Jerry Lenander with SYNCOM. And I would like to call Duke Roberts with Mongotel up to the stage behind me, please. We are just about ready to begin the rollout of the 2016 scholarship program. Applications will be distributed to local police and fire departments and high school counselors beginning in January. The kids have just now finished or will be finishing all their college applications at the end of December, so they can come back from vacation and begin working on their essays and their scholarships. I'm very pleased to say that I have all of my judges returning. Robert Jennison with Post Alarm is the senior judge. He'll be back. Tim Westfall, thank you very much for returning. Sam Avilas with Honeywell Fire Notifier will also be coming back. And Colette Kame with Kame Security Alarms will be returning for the 2016 committee. Mergers have affected the scholarship fund as well. And I got all choked up in yesterday's board meeting. I'm afraid I'm going to do that again today. But the generosity of the members of this association is just absolutely overwhelming. And people have stepped up to fund this really critical element of the association's relationship with fire and police personnel. And Mongotel, who is a brand new affiliate member and who was a bronze sponsor, has generously donated $1,000 to the scholarship fund. So Duke, thank you very much. I don't want to steal Madame President's line, but that's a wow factor. That's how valuable he thinks our work is. That's how valuable he thinks that the association's work will be to him. I also want to especially recognize Jerry Lenander with SYNCOM and Rick Gumbar with Rick Gumbar Insurance Services and Bolton and Company. Each of them have stepped up and have generously donated each $2,750 to the scholarship fund for a total contribution of $5,500. From the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank all three of you enough. This is very sacred work to me, and I just love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Lillian. We appreciate everything that you're doing. For those of you that don't know, Lillian has actually tried to make every single scholarship presentation across the state and has gone above and beyond with the application. So thank you very much, Lillian. Thank you very much to the donors, and we look forward to a continued successful scholarship program. We know that it makes a difference and helps build those relationships with public safety officials. At this point in time, I'd like to ask if there is any old business. Is there any new business? I would then call for the good of the order, and may I have a motion to adjourn this general session?
I'll make that motion.
A second, please. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.